Hello folks, this is Sullla once again. Welcome to another video for League of Legends. This time we're going to be looking at one of the matches from the NACL, which is sort of the league that's right below the North American LCS. This is a match between Team VVV, who I had a video up a little bit earlier, I guess last week. A match between VVV and Team Coast. Coast, for those who don't know, Coast is one of the teams that is up for relegation from the LCS. They really struggled at the end of the summer split. Now that said, they've been playing in the NACS, which as I said is sort of the league right below the LCS, and they have just been dominating the NACL or NAC? I think it's NACL. I'm sorry, I don't know what that stands for, unfortunately. North American Challenger League, I think it is. Probably should have looked that up before doing this video. But yeah, Coast has really been dominating, and let's go ahead and rewind this back to right at the start of the game. Coast has just been tearing it up. I believe there's something like 20 wins and 2 losses or something like that, but they have just been playing outstandingly well. And they're one of the favorites to re-qualify for the North American LCS, which they will be doing either, I believe, in the next 2 weeks, either this weekend or the next weekend. They're actually up for their promotion to get back into the LCS again. So anyway, let's just look at what we have here. So this is VVV, and the reason why I picked this game to go ahead and do a cast on is check out what the lineup is for VVV. They do not have a traditional ranged AD, no traditional AD carry. In fact, they are looking to run a bottom lane of Brand and Zyra, which is very unusual, very unorthodox, and VVV is one of the teams that actually does trot out some of these very strange, unusual, might almost want to say gimmicky lineups. But in this particular game, yes, they're going to try and play this game without a ranged AD. Now they can get around that due to the fact that they have some ranged champions like Nidalee and Brand and Zyra to poke towers, but they're actually not going to have a traditional ranged AD. So it's going to be Sivir and Thresh in the bottom lane against Zyra and Brand in the bottom lane. And Zyra is going to be playing the support role. Brand's going to be taking Sullla lane farm, but it's a bit of a kill lane. As far as I understand, the basic idea is that Zyra, if she hits a root, can then follow it up with her plants. If somebody gets rooted, Brand can immediately follow up with his pillar for a lot of damage. And by the way, Brand's W deals very, very good damage early on in the game. Can follow up with a pillar and then potentially get a second stun by using his Q for a second stun, and they can sort of stack the crowd control. And basically sort of like a kill lane idea, albeit one that scales a little bit better into late game. So anyway, that's what we're going to be watching here. And one of the nice things about this being a game that was broadcast in the NACL, I think it is I don't even need to adjust the lineups on both sides. They're already perfectly slotted up down at the bottom of the screen. So let's just look at the matchups here. In top lane, we have Get Snuggled for VVV playing as Shyvana, up against Zion Spartan playing as Riven for Team Coast. Keep an eye on that. Two very sort of tanky bruiserish champions, both quite popular right now in the competitive scene. In mid, Cheese Beluga is going to be playing in mid for VVV, up against Shifter, who's playing as LeBlanc. And LeBlanc is a champ you don't see that often in competitive play. So it'll be fun to keep an eye on this and watch how this goes. Nidalee is a very common ban right now in the competitive scene. Is viewed as being very, very difficult to deal with. Basically, Nidalee's one weakness is she's not that good against assassins, but most of the assassins were nerfed at the beginning of Season 4, which is one of the reasons why champions like Nidalee and Syndra have really come back into the fore. In bottom lane, then we have Tails and Godchu for VVV with that Brand Zyra matchup, as we mentioned before, against Wiz Fujin and Daydreamin, Sivir, and Thresh for Team Coast. And then our junglers are Porpoise Pops for VVV, playing as Vi, and Nintendude jungling, as always, for Team Coast, as Nunu. Nintendude has been the jungler for Team Coast for almost 2 years now, although Team Coast has been called a lot of different things over the years, but they've kept, he's about the only one that's really been on the team for that length of time. Alright, anyway, so what's going on in this bottom lane? Like I said, this is the reason why I picked this, and there's not really anything going on in the other lanes. The junglers are just farming, and there's not too much going on. So, in this bottom lane, I mean, the basic idea, as I said, is they want to try and burst down Team Coast lane, try to get, they do have pretty good kill pressure with this bottom lane, and we'll see if they can manage to pull that off, basically. But it kind of needs Zyra to land a root for anything to happen in this bottom lane. If Zyra doesn't land a root, not really going to be that much going on. As far as Team Coast goes, Wiz Fujin had a nice pick here. Sivir is, of course, a very popular AD right now. Very popular, very highly contested, often gets banned. But Sivir is also a good pick in this particular lane just because of her spell shield. The fact that Sivir can spell shield either the Zyra Root or the Brand Pillar and dodge some of that crowd control that comes out from VVV, that makes Sivir a much safer pick than you could potentially get otherwise. And Thresh, of course, is always a pretty safe pick as well. As far as trinkets go, you might notice that everybody pretty much has the wording trinket except for Nunu, who has the red sweeping lens trinket. But there's really very little going on here in the early game. Just a lot of laning and not a whole lot of difference thus far. The biggest difference, even in the lanes, there's not too much of an edge. Sivir is a bit ahead in bottom lane. And again, that's largely due to the fact that, well, she is a traditional ranged AD against someone who's not all that traditional. Let's peek in on the top lane again. Fairly even up here thus far. Zion Spartan's a little bit ahead in terms of last hits. About 4 or 5 minion kills ahead. And both junglers are potentially looking to head up to top lanes. Keep an eye on this. Note that there's no ward coverage, no ward spotting Nunu running in. So they're going to look to go after Get Snuggled and try to force this. Zion is going to go in and force the trade. Nice use of the Broken Wings combo there. But Porpoise Pops is here as well. And it's going to turn this into a 2v2, and that's going to back Team Coast off of this engage. And right now, no, actually turning and going back in. Flash is coming out, Ignite's coming out. Ignite's burned from both top laners. Flash also down on Shyvana on Get Snuggled. But again, nobody is actually going to die here. It ends up being a pretty even trade. VVV is shoving this minion wave into the tower. They want to force Zion to have the last hit on very low health, or to have to go back and miss these minions. Note that Zion did pop his red pot. He started with an Elixir of Fortitude, and he did drink that right there. I don't know if that's what saved his life or not. Not entirely sure, but did drink his red pot. He's going to have to go back, so that is a minor advantage here for Get Snuggled, because he forced Zion Spartan to go back first. That means he can push up the creep wave and deny some farm on the tower. Basic stuff, but I figure I might as well point it out, because there's not exactly a lot going on in this game right now. Similar story in mid. Shifter forced Cheese Beluga to go back, so he's going to get a slight advantage here in mid, and actually it's not even slight, he's actually 15 minion kills ahead because he forced Nidalee to go back early. Also note that Cheese Beluga is running Barrier, not Ignite as a summoner, and that's not at all uncommon on a mid Nidalee. And in bottom lane, Tails is actually running Ghost Flash. It's kind of unusual, but then again, he is in sort of this strange role where he's in kind of the ranged AD role, but is of course playing an AP caster instead. And down in bottom lane, it's a similar thing. It looks as though Coast was able to force VVV to back first, and that's why they've opened up about a 10 minion kill lead. Nothing too sizable. It's only, what, about 300 gold on the game, but in a slow game, sometimes stuff like that matters. They're not going to be able to sweep out that particular ward. Little fight going on over by the Wraiths, but Porpoise Pop's able to defend his Wraith camp, and he's actually ahead in the jungle matchup right there. Yeah, he's about 100 gold ahead. We see another ward getting taken out with the sweeping lens right there. Interesting, too, that Nunu went for the Madrid's Razor. Kind of an unusual item. Wouldn't have expected that, but does synergize well with Blood Boil. So we'll see where Nintendo chooses to go from there. Again, not too much going on right now. Coast trying to set up a dive in mid lane. We'll see if this ends up being successful. One of the problems, though, is Nidalee is a pretty safe champion once she hits 6. Cheese Beluga is 6. Going to be able to get out of this one without any real trouble, as Zion heads back to top lane to go back and start farming again. Dragon is up. Of course, we've seen no movement there. There's a pink in this brush for Team Coast. And they seem to be content just to farm up and try to take advantage of the laning matchups. I don't think that either team is... Well, Coast probably does have the better laning setup just because Riven is a lane bully, and in mid lane, similar thing for LeBlanc. Right there, Shifter misses his chain, which means that he's not going to be able to get the kill, but he has forced Cheese Beluga back, got him down to half health, so he's going to be forced to play more defensively in that mid lane. And over here, Porpoise Pops goes low, but he's still going to be able to clear this camp. Looked for a second like he was in a fight, was going to die, but that's not the case. Rest assured, though, there will be action eventually in this game. Slow start to this one. This is, of course, not live. I have seen this match before, and things definitely do pick up and become more interesting. Here, though, we got a fight going on in top lane. Zion Spartan gets off a full Broken Wing combo, gets some very nice damage up there in top lane. In bot, we're able to force VVV's bottom lane to back away from the tower, and there's a really nice double hit with the Boomerang, getting in some good harass. No sustain here in the bottom lane on either side. And it looks like VVV's bottom lane is going to have to back yet again in this bottom lane, because you see Brand, and he's going back to base here. One of the problems with those AP laners in bot is they do have to worry about running out of mana in a way that you don't really have to worry about when you're a ranged AD. You typically don't have to worry about mana as much there. Anyway, we see the ults coming out from both Riven and Shyvana. Looks like Zion Spartan's going to force Get Snuggled back, force him away from this top lane. But here comes Nintendude, and this could be trouble, because if you notice, Get Snuggled went forward and went in there, and once he went forward, he didn't really have a way to get out. The Ignite's tipping on Zion Spartan. Is he going to fall? No! 5 HP right there. Riven's shield comes off of cooldown, and that is going to be first blood up there in top lane for Team Coast. Gives him about 1,000 gold lead. Just a nice run-in gank. The big problem was Get Snuggled popped his dragon form. Dragon's Descent went forward instead of backwards, and apparently he's regenning health as he's dead, likely from that Perseverance Mastery in the defensive tree. Anyway, there is some action going on over here. Shifter just had his passive popped, and now he's going to be forced to dash away. Tails is chasing after him, and Shifter's going to have to flash out of the pillar. I don't think that would have killed him, but didn't realize, was unaware of how much follow-up was there. Made the safer play, got out, but has his flash burn, and is going to have to go back to base and heal. So this is now the signal for VVV to make a move for Dragon, and if they can take this, they'll pretty much be able to even up this match right around the same amount of gold. Yep, there it is. So now back to, what, about 400 gold down, but essentially have evened up the match. It's 1 kill for Team Coast, 1 Dragon for VVV, so pretty even overall. In this bottom lane matchup, note that Sivir's now about 30 minion kills ahead and is in pretty good shape. Now, Vi is lurking, but Vi is spotted by that ward, so Team Coast shouldn't be in any real danger. In mid lane, looks like Shifter is still slightly ahead. Actually has gone back and gotten a needlessly large rod, is going towards a Deathfire Grasp, has that, and the, go ahead and highlight the, what is it, the Hunting? Fiendish Codex there. So that's a DFG rush, Deathfire Grasp rush. We'll see where that's going. Top lane, looks like Zion is a little bit ahead, is up an assist, not up a kill. But Zion, well, might be overextending a little bit. No, never mind, has Nunu here for help. And it looks like they're just going to pressure the tower right here for the moment and look to see what they can get. Actually getting some pretty good harass, but Get Snuggled does his ult up, and Porpoise Pops is running towards top lane. Doesn't look like it's going to be too much there. If you're wondering what the supports have bought, well, Daydreamin' on Thresh went for the Ancient Coin / Nomad's Medallion / what is it, Talisman of Ascension route. And Godshu, playing as Zyra, went for the AP item, went for the Spell Thief's Edge into Frostfang, so in other words, the AP route. Meanwhile, right now we have sort of a 2v2 up in top lane. Coast is getting some good push, denying some minions on the tower, but not too much going on right there in that lane. Meanwhile, in mid, it looks as though Cheese Beluga is gotten some good harass on Shifter. He's gone back, double Dorans, and has picked up, what is it, the Chalice of Harmony. So has pretty good mana regen. Pretty quiet game thus far, not that much going on right now. And both sides just continue to lane, and what is it, it's about, you know, just not that much action going on right now. There's that Brand Q coming out for harass. Let me mention one other thing. Both Brand and Zyra have the Halloween themed skins. This is like the zombie Brand skin along with the Hunting Zyra skin. So they actually coordinated not just their bottom lane, but coordinated their skins here as well, which is kind of interesting. I guess when you're in a rank 5 team, you can do that kind of thing. And up here on top, Zion continuing to push on that tower, continuing to get more pressure on in that top lane. But one thing you might have noticed is in all these lanes, Team Coast is actually ahead in farm in every single lane. I mean, if you just check the scoreboard here, they're ahead in farm in literally every single lane. So that means that VVV is going to need to make some plays if they're going to get out of here. And right here, they're trying to see if they can catch Zion Spartan out. He did stick around a little long to get that tower in top lane. Well, he's going to pop the Riven ultimate. Dragon's Descent comes out. The Vi ult has already been used. Is this going to be a 1-for-1 trade? No, it isn't. Zion's going to go down. So we're able to punish Zion Spartan for sticking around just a little bit too long to get this tower. Nice Vi gank coming out. Going to pick up 1 kill. And then VVV is going to turn this around and try to get another tower on their end at the same time while they have the temporary 5v4 power play. Elsewhere, blue buff donated over to Shifter. Has picked it up. And over here, another ward being cleared out around Dragon. But that's going to be a tower equalized, and VVV has, in fact, evened up the game. Dead even in gold. They traded a tower kill for a tower kill and a champion kill, which obviously puts you ahead in a matchup like that. Bottom lane, Nunu is looking around, but doesn't really look like he's going to be able to do all that much. Coast just continues to push, and they seem to be having pretty good success with that. They need to be careful that they don't get caught out and killed again, the way that Zion just had happened in top lane. But they've been pretty consistently pushing lanes and shoving minions into the tower, and that's largely why they have this minion to kill advantage that they have. They're ahead good 20 minion kills in just about every single lane right here. Anyway, that Thresh hook is going to land. Are we going to see a fight right here? Yes, Godshoot goes down immediately. Really nice Thresh play, but the Brand Burst dealing a lot of damage as well, just not quite enough with that Thresh shield, helping to add a little bit more survivability. But a really nice hook from Daydreamin sets up WizFujin, who actually did not get the kill. No, the kill actually went to Daydreamin as well. I think he might have picked that up with his Ignite. Not 100% sure, but another kill picked up for Team Coast. Going to put them a little bit further ahead. Here in mid lane, you're going to see that Chain of Corruption land. Is it Chain of Corruption? No, that's Varus ult. What is the chain called? Ethereal Chains on LeBlanc. Landed the chain, used Deathfire Grasp, which Shifter has picked up. Gets snuggled, is in no danger of dying, but did lose half his health. He's going to be forced back to base. What that means is more time for Zion Spartan to farm up in top lane, while Shyvana has to back. Zion does have to be a little bit careful, can see him dropping the ward, so he has vision if he's going to get ganked, but does have to be a little bit careful because he's pretty far extended, and note that there is nobody on his team anywhere close to him. So if he continues, I mean, obviously you want to play aggressive, you're Riven, you're a lane bully, you want to be forcing the action, but you can't get caught too far forward, and that's exactly what could be happening right here. Porpoise Pops does have the Vi ultimate up. Zion is trying to hide out there, but is going to get caught right here. So he's going to get hit with the Vi ult, and then he's going to get hit by Dragon's Descent, and that's a bad death to give away because it relieves pressure. It's not just the gold, but it also relieves pressure, gives Shyvana more time to free farm. That was a real mistake that you want to avoid. So yes, had the ward down, but ultimately it wasn't enough vision. Probably needed to avoid getting, well, didn't know, obviously Zion didn't know that Vi was there, but want to avoid giving away deaths like that basically, because that's evened it up once again, and VVV is still hanging around. We're going to have Dragon up any second now. We'll see if the teams make a play for that. Here comes Vi heading down to bottom lane. Doesn't have her ult up since she just used it up there in top to get a kill on Riven. But going to be successful in forcing back the team, and we could see some action right here around the dragon, which has just now respawned. There it is, hanging out there in the dragon pit. And Shyvana's actually roaming down here from top, was successfully able to shove top lane forward, roaming down here. We could have our first 5v5 team fight of the game if they all come down to dragon. And Brand is actually farming, well, getting out farmed in lane, but not doing terribly by any means. Alright, so there comes a Nidalee Spear. Everybody is running to the dragon. That is all 5 members. And Shifter just absolutely melts Godshoot, who goes down in an instant. But VVV does take the dragon, so that's a dragon traded for a champion kill thus far. Can Coast take advantage of this 5v4 edge that they have right now? Doesn't look like they can, largely because the minion waves are pretty pushed back from their perspective. Kind of shoved forward on VVV. But yeah, that was still a pretty good trade for VVV. They got the dragon, and wow, look at that harass, and really nice double boomerang blade hits coming out from WizFujin. Over here, Nidalee Spear is going to hit Nunu over the wall, and we've got right now a 3v3 down here. That spear getting blocked by the Sivir spell shield. Right now, Riven just farming in top. Shifter still farming under tower. So the action's really down here in bottom lane right now. Daydreamin going to get stunned by that Brand Q, and then going to get taken out by the Vi ultimate right there. So a really nice combo play right there. Probably didn't get the camera work as good as might have liked right there, but still hit the, what was it? I think he hit the Pillar of Flame and then followed up with the Q. And now WizFujin going to get stunned as well. The Pillar actually misses, but the Brand ult is going to come out doing some good damage right here. Can WizFujin manage to escape? No. Flash, a Q, and then an auto attack. And guess what? Don't mess with AD Brand in the bottom lane. Not actually kidding. He's not actually AD Brand, but you get the idea. Bottom lane Brand, too powerful. In mid, though, Shifter is going to pick up a kill. Let's watch this. Looks like he just used the full LeBlanc combo. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's watch how he's going to do this. Deathfire Grasp is off of cooldown. And when's he going to go for it? Right there. Tosses out the chain. And going to get the kill. Actually, looked like he got it with an auto attack. Yeah, so Deathfire Grasp. Started with the ethereal chain, landed the chain, then tossed out a Q, mimicked. Looks like he mimicked distortion. What was it? Landed the chain, tossed out a Q for the silence, hit with the distortion and then the mimic distortion as well. I think, I'm not exactly, well, maybe he used a mimic Q, but in any case, landed all of his skills and just got the straight up kill 1v1. And right there, gonna dash away from Shyvana. Meanwhile, that gives Riven more time to farm, just taking the white camp. Oh, it's gonna feel weird saying that, taking the white camp, but took the white camp away and is continuing to farm. Now, that said, with those plays in bottom lane, VVV is actually ahead in this game. They're about 1,000 gold ahead right now. It's still a very close game. What is it? 4-4 in champion kills, 2-1 in tower kills. 1-1 in dragons? No, it's 2-0 in dragons. VVV's gotten both dragons. And right here, now can Nintendo dodge this Q? No, he's not able to dodge the Brand Q. Gonna get rooted by Zyra, and Godshoe will pick that up. The Brand crowd control, too strong apparently in this one. And what is that? 102 now for Brand. He's got a needlessly large rod. And that spear is going to hit as well in mid. So VVV getting some nice push up here in mid. Now they did lose their tower in bottom lane as it goes to 2 for 2 on towers. But VVV's in good position to take maybe this tower in mid. Nope, going to back off. Shifter flashes forward, but Godshoe immediately flashes backwards, and Shifter is not able to full combo against Godshoe. Wanted to use that full combo. If he did land a full LeBlanc combo on Zyra there, that would have been a kill, but the instant flash backwards from Godshoe able to get him out. So it is a flash for a flash traded, and that's a good exchange for VVV. They lost the flash on their support in exchange for the flash on the enemy team's mid laner. Alrighty, what's this? More damage going on in mid. Shifter has his passive popped, and wow, actually a flash spear that doesn't hit in mid, not the best. Well, right now, Wiz Fujin's pushing in bottom lane, doing a Sivir split push. Meanwhile, VVV is pushing in top lane. They actually have, what, 4 members of their team up here in top lane. And that spear is going to miss, but Zion can't hold this 1v4. Down here in bottom lane, Porpoise Pops is trying to hold this tower, and he actually does a good job of wave clearing that, manages to get all the minions out. So that's a tower for VVV. They go ahead 3-2 in towers and take an even larger gold lead. So really, it's just a question of can Porpoise Pops hold this tower 1v2, which is actually doing a pretty good job of right now. Nintendo pushing in mid. We've got actually a lot of split pushes all over the map as Zion actually grabs red buff right there with look like with his ult running. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, he was able to grab nope, didn't have his ult, but was able to grab the red buff right there from an attempted steal. So that's a nice little pickup for Team Coast. But VVV is in pretty good shape right now. I mean, if you look on the game, they're almost 2,000 gold ahead. They've gotten both of the first 2 dragons. They're ahead in towers. And their team, you know, looking pretty good here. They would actually be a pretty big underdog in this match. VVV is well below 500 in their record. They have significantly more losses than wins, whereas Coast has pretty much been beating everybody in this league. So would be a significant upset if they're able to pull this one off and keep going. Is to continue to get some more pressure on this mid lane. Now, there is one problem with VVV's lineup, and that is their lineup is basically 100% magic damage. They really have no physical damage in this lineup at all, as you see some nice skill shot dodging from both teams right there. I mean, look at their lineup. Shyvana deals almost entirely magic damage. Then they've got Nidalee, who's building AP. Then you've got Brand, who is, of course, going AP. Zyra, who is an AP support. So, you know, where's the physical damage on this team? It's all magic damage, and that makes it very easy for Coast to itemize against this team. Would expect to see them stacking a lot of magic resist as this game goes on. We'll see. Note, for example, that Wiz Fujin, the AD, is actually gone for Merc Treads and not Berserker's Graves, which normally would be kind of a weird decision, but with the amount of crowd control and magic damage that's on VVV, it actually does make a fair amount of sense. And we expect to see even more in the way of magic resist getting picked up as the game goes on. That said, VVV is still in pretty good shape if they can keep pressure on, if they can continue to take global objectives. For instance, there's a dragon coming up. That's a nice dodge by Tails right there. Almost got pulled. Probably would have died if he'd gotten pulled right there. If VVV can continue to take dragons the way they've been doing, they can look to try and snowball this game. Oops. In mid, looks like we had a kill right there. Ended up missing that one. Down here, the Zyra ult's coming out. That's not going to turn into anything, but Shifter getting taken out, his first death of the game, and that's going to clear VVV to go and try to take Dragon once again. This would be their 3rd Dragon of the match. It's currently invisible, but of course we know it's really there. And there's not a great deal that Coast can do about this. They're getting back away. Can Nintendo get the steal is really the question. No, he's not really going to try. And even though Zion Spartan's pushing in top lane and is ahead in farm, granted every lane is still ahead in farm for Coast, which is a pretty big deal. But they're starting to lose this game because they don't have enough losing too many global objectives. Anyway, down here, Nice use of Brand's ultimate, getting tons and tons of damage, but Daydreamin able to use that Thresh shield. Which one is his shield? Yeah, the Dark Passage shield blocked just enough damage to keep him alive. But that was, as we said, another dragon taken down. And in fact, another tower went down as well while all that was going on too. So it's now 4-2 in terms of tower kills for VVV. They're actually what? They're almost 4,000 gold ahead. And from this position, they really shouldn't lose if they play the game correctly. Now, VVV has had a problem with throwing games in the past. If you watched the previous game I did with VVV, you might have actually seen some of that. They've had some real trouble with throwing games in the past, but from this position, if they play correctly, they should be able to win this game. They are pretty sizably ahead right now in this matchup. We got a bit of a duel going on in top, but both of these champs are pretty tanky. Actually, Get Snuggled is winning this match, winning this really hard. Zion just taking so much harass. He's actually down to about under a third health right now. He does have support coming in terms of Shifter, and this could turn into a big-time bait right here. So we'll keep an eye on that as far as this goes. Over here, we see the Vi ult used on Nintendo, but he is going to use, we're going to see the Sivir ult used, and then he's going to be able to run out of that. And then the duel between Shifter and Get Snuggled. Shifter using that Deathfire Grasp, he's going to pick that kill up. So no kill down here in the bottom lane. Team Coast able to disengage, but a kill picked up in the top lane. Meanwhile, VVV is going to use this opportunity just to push mid. They have 4 champions here, so even though they are down a man, they've kind of caught Team Coast out of it. Everybody for Coast in the side lanes, nobody here in mid. So that's another tower picked up, and that trade overall appears to be a tower for a champion kill, which you would probably take just almost every time. And VVV actually, yeah, still sitting there at about the same gold lead. They're going to be pulled over to top lane to deal with Zion Spartan's push. They're going to be pulled to bottom lane to deal with Wiz Fujin's push. But overall, VVV still in pretty good shape. Now, it does look like Sivir is going to pick up this tower kill here. So the full sequence looks like it was in favor of Team Coast. Right there, nice use of the Sivir spell shield, and then the Sivir ultimate on the hunt just for the disengage. So what does that put us? Well, Team Coast has closed the gap from 4,000 down to 3,000 gold. So they're hanging in there. It is what, 5-3 in towers, 6-5 in champion kills. And that red buff's going to go over to Shyvana. So we will see Dragon up in a little, just over 2 minutes. It'll be up again. Baron, of course, is very much also in play. Note that Baron is warded by Team Coast, not warded by VVV. And by this late in the game, 26 minutes, they really should have a Baron ward there. You know, look at, I mean, they've got all these free wards. Look, 3 people have free wards. They really should have some kind of ward on Baron. I mean, it might not end up hurting them, but just as sort of a general... Just as sort of a general thing, once you get past about 25 minutes or so, you really want to keep Baron warded at all times, if at all possible. Let's just look quickly at items while we got a second here. In that top lane matchup, Riven has her Hydra and Last Whisper, so going for big time AD. Riven scales really well off AD. Shyvana going really heavy on the tank stuff, has managed to pick up Blade of the Ruined King and the Sunfire Cape. In mid lane, oh, Wiz Fujin actually gets rooted right there, but he's got the Thresh Lantern. Oh, we got a fight. Duel going on in bottom lane that unfortunately I missed. So let's go back and take a look at this right there. We had some flashes coming out, and Shifter is still hanging around. Wants to get this kill on Tails, but doesn't realize that Vi is there. Going to get Vi ulted, and it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade in bottom lane. Brand ult used, Vi ult used. 1-for-1 trade. So no huge advantage for either side. That pull is going to hit on Cheese Beluga. Now the Thresh ult coming out. Cheese Beluga forced to flash away on Nidalee. Vi is here, but Vi does not have her ult since it was just used in bottom lane. Shyvana coming down from top. Will this be another fight? Remember, Coast doesn't have any towers behind them. They're missing both towers and mids. They better be a bit careful here that they don't just get caught out and engaged upon without LeBlanc being there. In mid lane, LeBlanc has Deathfire Grasp and a Void Staff. That's against Nidalee, who right now has, what's this, an Unholy Grail and most of a Death Cap, along with double Durance Rings. So getting close to that. In bottom lane, Brand is got the Leandries, the Unholy Grail, and a needlessly large rod. Obviously, that's not very comparable to Sivir, who has a completely different build path. Bloodthirster into Static Shiv. A build that makes sense for Sivir when she's doing a lot of split pushing, as Wiz Fujin's been doing. Now check this out. We've got a 2-man Baron attempt going on here. And remember, VVV does not have this warded. Check out their vision. They can't see this. And they don't know, have no idea what's going on here whatsoever. No pinks down for Team Coast, so they don't even realize that there's no wards here. But right now, VVV seems totally oblivious to this. They have no vision, and it looks like this is just going to be a free Baron. That's actually not even a good smite by Nintendo. He smited too early. But they get the Baron completely for free. Now Cheese Beluga going to get hooked again, and remember, he doesn't have Flash Up because he just used it. Are they going to be able to catch him? No, but Nidalee has to retreat, and it looks like this is going to be mid-tower pretty easily for Team Coast. So, oh boy, VVV, they're doing it again. They screwed up around Baron. They took all 3 of the dragons, but they missed the first Baron, and that's a crucial, crucial mistake. Get Snuggled did get some pressure in bottom lane, but not enough to get this tower. And let's see. Oh, and the recall going to be interrupted. Zion Spartan with his Spider Sense tingling realizes that Get Snuggled was in that brush, taking tower shots. The Wind/ult comes out. Oh, can Get Snuggled survive? No, not going to be able to survive that. Gets taken down by Riven. That's another nice pickup. So that's 45 seconds of power play for Team Coast. And VVV, as I said, they're doing it again, throwing away a game that they had in a very strong, very comfortable position. Dragon's even up right now, so Team Coast is going to rotate over in that direction, and they should be able to get this. VVV can't really fight 4v5 for this. I mean, I guess they could if they got a perfect engage, but not looking good. Down goes the Dragon, and this game is completely evened up. So all the advantage that VVV had before has been lost, and in reality, they're behind because they don't have the Baron buff, whereas Team Coast does. Still 5-4 in towers, still 7-7 in champion kills, but that was a lot of gold that just went over to Team Coast, and they've still got a little over 2 minutes of Baron buff to do with and try to get some more pushing power here, while they still have the bonus attack damage, ability power, and health and mana regen. Alrighty, so let's look at the gold totals here just briefly while we've got a minute here, while Team Coast is back buying. Right now, the person who has the most gold in the game is actually Zion Spartan's Riven at 11.5k, just barely over Shifter's LeBlanc at 11.1k, and then Wiz Fujin's Sivir is also quite close. The jungler quite a bit behind on Team Coast. Keep in mind, as Nunu jungle, you're basically playing a support role. Nunu is basically a support jungle. On the other side, most gold is in the hands of Get Snuggled, 10.7k, against, Tails. Actually, the bottom lane Brand has more gold than the mid lane Nidalee, which is a little bit strange, but it's pretty close between them. Vi has a lot more gold. Vi is actually winning the jungler matchup, sort of a strict 1v1. But, again, not that big a deal. Nunu's a support jungle. He doesn't really need that much gold to be effective. He's even building the support path. He's got a Talisman of Ascension. They actually have 2 Talisman of Ascensions on Team Coast, which gives them incredible engaging power. They have 2 Talismans of Ascension with that Shirelia Reverie active. And then they also have Sivir ult as well, so they can just get a massive burst of speed if they want it right now. In any case, while they have Baron, looks like they're trying to push. Nintendo going to get caught out, takes a lot of damage, but he's pretty tanky. Only lost about half his health despite a full Brand combo right there. And he's going to get pulled back on the Thresh Lantern and make it back into the base. Alright, so in bottom lane, a little bit of pressure, but remember the towers now regenerate. The inhibitor towers now regenerate health, so that'll be slowly ticking back up over time. And Coast seems to be doing a 3-2 split push. 3 in the mid lane and 2 in the bottom lane. I think that they're trying to sell this as a 4-1 split push, with LeBlanc just looking down here. I think the basic idea is they want someone to 1v1 Zion, and then Shifter's going to show up and turn into a 2v1 and burst and kill that person. I think that's what they're going for. In mid, though, Coast getting engaged upon. It looks like they're able to turn this around. Wiz Fujin's outputting some very good damage. He did pop his ultimate to be able to run away from that. So Sivir ult is down for the moment for Team Coast. And they're just continuing to keep the pressure on and looking to try to catch someone in a bad rotation, something like that, or manage to get this tower. The top lane is very slowly pushing in Coast's favor. It'll take about a full minute more, but it will eventually hit this tower. And yeah, like I said, it looks like they're trying to catch somebody on VVV in just a bad tower rotation or in the wrong position and try to make an advantage from that. Actually getting a lot of damage on this tower right now. So Nintendo gets engaged on in bottom lane, but again, he's Nunu. He's just going to turn around and run away. Didn't have to use his Talisman of Ascension, or whatever that item is. Yeah, Talisman of Ascension. Didn't have to use the active function on that. And with the double sweeping lens right now, Coast is sweeping out some of the vision in this bottom jungle. Anyway, Baron buff has timed out, so that means it's not the worst time for VVV to engage. Remember, they're only down 1,000 gold. They might feel like they're down by more than that because they kind of were ahead and then lost the edge, but they're only down 1,000 gold. And right there, they're going to use the Vi ultimate, but use it on Nunu. He's just going to get the Thresh Lantern. I'm not sure if that was the best target to use the Vi ultimate on. Nunu, pretty tanky. You really want to use that on Sivir or on LeBlanc or somebody who's a higher priority target than Nunu, but Vi ult down didn't really do that much. More harass coming out from that Boomerang Blade. There's a duel going on in bottom lane, but the two of them are too tanky, can't really hurt each other all that much. And that top lane, remember how I said that top lane was slowly snowballing? Now it's finally building up, pushing towards Team VVV. They look like they're backing, so Team Coast going to rotate over here to top lane. They actually use the Talisman of Ascension, use the Shirelli as active on Daydream, and just to get over here faster and get a little bit of damage. Tails doesn't look like he can hold this on his own. Sivir gets that bonus attack speed while her Ricochet is in operation. Thresh Lantern pulls Wiz Fujin back away. And so that's another tower down, but not really the one you're expecting. You'd think they would have gotten the tower in bottom lane or the tower in mid, but no, they actually took the one in top lane. And they're actually now, what, about 2,000 gold ahead? Just under 2,000 gold ahead. Everybody's heading back to buy and get ready for Baron and Dragon, which will be respawning at about the same time. And whoever can take that will be in really comfortable position. If they can, whoever can take the next Baron is going to be in very, very good shape to win this match. More items coming out. So Zion Spartan has, let's see, has finished what has he got? The Hydra, the Bloodthirster, the Last Whisper, and is going for a Guardian Angel. Very standard on Riven. Magic resistance particularly useful here. Shifter just went back to base. Let's see, he's now has a Death Tap to go along with his Void Staff, Deathfire Grass. Wiz Fujin has picked up Last Whisper since we last checked in on him. In top lane, for VVV, Get Snuggled has finished a Banshee's Veil, which is an interesting choice. Not terrible. It's good defense against Shifter's LeBlanc. Good defense against that LeBlanc combo with the Deathfire Grass. That's likely the idea there. Tails has picked up a Death Cap to go with his Unholy Grail and his Leandri's Torment. And then the one other person is Nidalee. Cheese Beluga has finished his Death Cap. Is building probably a Void Staff with that Blasting Wand, would be my guess. And then supports basically have support stuff. There's actually two Mikhail's Crucibles on Coast. Mikhail's Crucible on Nunu, and a Mikhail's Crucible on Thresh as well. So again, trying to counter that crowd control that is out there on the part of Team VVV. Right here, oh, and look at the Thresh plays. The hook to go over the wall, and then the the Lantern to pull his friend along with him. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, Get Snuggled does win that 1v1. Over here, Godshoe gets engaged on by Shifter's LeBlanc. But this Baron's going down. However, this is going to be a 50-50 smite war. Who's going to get this one? And as it turns out, Nintendo's going to win that. That was a very risky Baron, though, for Team Coast. We're going to see Godshoe, the support, get taken out by the LeBlanc just off screen. And now the question is, can Coast get out of this? It's a very nice flash by Daydreamin to escape that brand Q. And it looks like this is going to end up being a 1-for-1 with Team Coast picking up the Baron. Not the smartest play. That Baron was really just sitting there. Wow, as Shifter gets a spear that will pop the LeBlanc passive. Now Nintendo is getting engaged upon, so he's got to be careful. But another nice Thresh Lantern right there. Nunu Snowball comes out to slow down Nidalee. Down goes the Banshee's Veil and gets Snuggled. I'm not sure that Coast really wants this fight. I think they're just trying to disengage, and they're just waiting on cooldowns to come out. Another dodge of the brand Pillar. And that's going to be it from this fight. So overall, it's just a 1-for-1 with the kill coming down in bottom lane. But Team Coast got the all-important Baron pickup. So even though they missed all those early dragons, they're 2-0 on Barons. And that might end up being the difference in this one. They'll again have that Baron buff to bonus attack damage, ability power, and health and mana regen for the next, for about 3 more minutes right now. VVV is going to turn and counter by picking up a dragon. This would actually be I think their 4th dragon of the game as it goes down on a Nidalee Spear. So that's a nice pickup for them, but still behind in this game, down 2,000 gold plus the Baron buff while it's on the members of Team Coast. And then this could be trouble for somebody over here. VVV going after Shifter. Porpoise Pop's going to charge in. LeBlanc dashing away. That uses the Mimic Distortion to dash away. Gonna get engaged on, but Shifter still alive. That passive's gonna get popped. Out comes the Talisman of Ascension right here. Zion Spartan's gonna get knocked up by a good Zyra ult. In comes the Nunu ult and the Shyvana ult as well. Zoning potential, that Nunu ult, very, very good. So Porpoise Pops will fall. Oh, that Brand ult gonna deal a lot of damage, but Zion Spartan has a Guardian Angel, so it's just going to pop the Guardian Angel. And now the chase is on. And remember what we said before, that Team Coast has a great chasing team. There's another Talisman of Ascension. Just needs to hit a snowball. There it is. That means Godshoe is going to be in trouble. Wiz Fujin flashes in. He picks up 1 kill. This fight continues. Now Tails getting engaged on. Goes down to Daydreamin's Thresh. Another beautiful hook by Daydreamin. Gets snuggled as tanky, but he's not that tanky. And when the smoke clears, it is a 4-for-0 for Team Coast, with the Baron buff still healing them up, and a good 30 seconds or so of power play to work with here. They're just going to charge right in the bottom lane where there's no towers up. They don't have minions, but do they really need minions right here? They can just have Riven tank this, have Thresh tank this, use their shields. Remember, they're still regenerating health from that Baron buff. Zion's going to go in using the Riven combo. Wow, the Wind Slash dealing all kinds of damage. Can he get the kill? No, not able to get it as the inhib goes down back behind here. Vi is back up, but still 20 seconds on Shyvana and Brand right here. We see, oh, the LeBlanc combo coming out from Shifter, just absolutely melting Nidalee. And then Vi going down as well. Another Talisman of Ascension getting popped for the speed bonus. What was that? The Sivir ult was just popped as well for the attack speed bonus. Nunu ult clearing the creeps, plus 248 gold. And looks like that's going to be it. The Nexus will just fall right here. Brand ultimate used, dealing good damage, but Brand dies in about 0.1 seconds to Shifter with another LeBlanc combo, and that's going to be it. So from a game where VVV was well ahead, turned around in a hurry off of that 2-man Baron, and then finally that second Baron, plus the 4-for-0 team fight in bottom lane. So Team Coast showing why they have such a great record in this league, which again I believe is the NACL, I think it's called, North American Champion. Or is it the something league? Something like that. Sorry, I should go back and double check before I do one of these casts. But in any case, that was a pretty interesting game. Another turnaround. VVV not really able to close this one out. A lot of the less experienced teams struggle mightily with that. Really one of the biggest difference between the top teams and the teams that are still trying to improve is the inability to close out games where you're ahead. That was certainly the case here. But this one was interesting because of the weird bottom lane that VVV ran. And in all honesty, it worked pretty well. It wasn't that, I mean, that wasn't the reason why they lost this game. So the Brand Zyra bottom lane actually was pretty solid in this one. And at least for me, it was interesting to see such an unorthodox way of setting up the team and see it almost didn't work out, but almost worked out in this one. In any case, hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Until next time, have a great week, and I will see you guys later. Take care.